Hello everyone. And you'll remember from our discussion in ES that location decisions are one of the most important decisions for a business. A, it is a long-term decision which cannot be easily reversed. You can't just pick up a factory and take it somewhere else. And secondly, they tend to be quite expensive. Land is an expensive resource to buy. So you've got to make these decisions with utmost care and make sure you're getting it right. While you're making that decision of business, you've also got to make sure that you're complying with all the rules that have been put in place by the government. There will be laws about the size of the building, the location, the infrastructure, all of that. You have to make sure that whatever your activities are, they are in compliance and according to the permissions that you've been given according to the local authorities. So if you do decide to make a factory or set up an office somewhere, there will be things that you will have to ask the government for permission. Things such as the level of infrastructure that is available in that area. If, for example, you're setting up a farm in countryside and there's no electricity there, can it be brought there? Is there gas? Will it need extra expenses, or will the government be able to do it for free for the business? So all those things must be looked at before deciding which location to pick, and then the permissions for setting up there will also have to be sought. Secondly, in certain situations, especially when you're in the city center where the government is trying to maintain a certain facade or the look of the city, you may have to submit your building plans, the exact layout, and have to wait for the government to approve your business plans on the layer and the plans for the building layout before you can actually go ahead with the construction. So in that sense also, you may have to seek the approval of the government about the layout of the business, the building, excuse me. Finally, the government may also ask you to present a report on how all of this construction and all the activities related to setting up your location there will have an impact on the society or on the neighborhood. So, a report on the social impact may also have to be provided as law by the government. In return, the government is also happy to give concessions to businesses. And one way that they can do that is by setting up something called export promotion zones, or simply EPZs. These are special pieces of land that are given to businesses at subsidized rate for exporting to other countries. Of course, exports will add to the GDP, will bring in foreign exchange. So they're a sought after section of the economy. And the government will provide these businesses an area where they have different economic regulations, where they are given concessions in terms of taxation, in terms of the amount of finance they have available and the sources that they can get it for. So that's also one way the government will actually help the business in finding the optimum location for the company. So as we just discussed on our last slide, a business may have to provide a report to the government on the impact it has on the society. And a business may make this report in the form of a social audit. Now, what a social audit does is that it calculates the impact the business's activities have had on the society or the general community around them. And the businesses will include things such as the pollution levels that they're creating, if there's any reduction in it, the health and safety measures that they're taking for the businesses, workers, and as well as the neighborhood. And if there's any other way that they're contributing to the society, maybe in the form of corporate social responsibility objectives. Now, the reason for a business to go through the process of making this social audit is, first of all, it helps the business to see what it's responsible for. It becomes accountable in terms of having part in CSR. When it does that, the second advantage that they get out of it is that they will start seeing their image in the eyes of the customers and the society as a whole improve. So better brand image is also a byproduct of making a social audit. Finally, you can use a social audit to self targets for the future. And if we were not able to meet our pollution targets this year, if we were not able to reduce our emissions for this year, maybe we can take corrective measures and improve it for next year. So improvements can be set in place for the future. The big drawback of social audit is that it is done by the company itself. It is an internal report, and if you're doing it yourself, then you choose your own questions, you write your own answers, you give yourself an A star. It's a nice looking report card. No one would mind that. And that's the problem with it. If it were done by an independent authority, it would have more credibility. So the fact that it's being done internally will have some question marks over the level of bias that might be involved in it. Secondly, it's a long, tedious, and an expensive process. You have to assign resources, you have to give it time, and sometimes maybe the answers that you receive at the end of it may not be useful, may not be good enough to be shared with the society, and the whole process is then just futile because nothing was gained out of it, even though time and money was spent on it. Finally, some consumers just don't care. They just want lower prices. They don't care how you're impacting the society or what the report holds in it. So maybe just focusing on lowering the prices or charging fair prices would be a better way of going about helping the society. Nonetheless, social audits are conducted regularly by businesses, and they're a great marketing tool for business to use and to show to the society that we're a business that cares. Come buy our product.